Good morning. This is Dr. Tarek. Today I am going to discuss endocrine system, anatomy and physiology. A gland is a structure that secretes hormones, and hormone is a chemical messenger with a special function. There are so many glands present in our body. First of all, we will see in this brain. At the base of the brain, we have three glands. Behind is pineal gland. It produces a pigment called melatonin, which is concerned with sleep and wake pattern. Some people are of the opinion that the human used to have three eyes, and the third eye was present on the forehead between the two eyes above the eyebrows. And by evolution, it has gone inside, and this has become pineal body. There are two other glands that are present on the interior side of the base of the brain: hypothalamus gland and pituitary gland. Hypothalamus get information from all structure of the body and give this information to pituitary by neural messages to increase something or to decrease the secretion of any particular hormone. For example, if thyroid stimulating hormone is excessive in the blood, it will get the information and send neural message to pituitary gland to decrease the production of thyroid stimulating hormone. And if it is decreased in the blood, it will receive the information and send messages to the thyroid gland to increase the production of TSH. Then we have pituitary gland. It is very important gland, rather the most important gland. It is the size of a pea, like chickpea, and it is known as the master gland of the body because it controls all the other glands inside the body. So this is known as master gland, and its size is the size of a pea, chickpea. It consists of two lobes, anterior lobe and posterior lobe. There are only two hormones that are produced by the posterior lobe: antidiuretic hormone and oxytocin. Antidiuretic hormone, as the name is telling, it causes less production of urine. It asks the kidney, it goes to the kidney with a chemical message that do not produce excess urine because body needs water. So kidney start conserving water. But if it is too much water in the body, the release of ADH will be less, and that will be a chemical message to the kidney to produce more urine and excrete the excessive or extra water present in the body. Number two hormone produced by the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland is oxytocin. Oxytocin causes contraction of the smooth muscle. So this has a very important role during the labor, childbirth. It causes the contraction of the uterine muscle till the baby is expelled out of the body. It also, after the delivery of the child, it causes release of the milk. It causes contraction of the smooth muscle that are present in the duct glands or duct that are present in the milk ducts. There are many hormones that are produced by the anterior lobe: thyroid stimulating hormone, adrenocortico-stimulating hormone, follicular stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, lactotropic hormone, melanocyte stimulating hormone, and growth hormone. Let's begin with the thyroid stimulating hormone. When it is produced, thyroid start producing more T3 and T4. T3 is also known as thyroxine. These two hormones, T3, T4, thyroxine. T3 is also known as thyroxine. And the third hormone is calcitonin. These three hormones are produced. So when TSH goes to pituitary gland, it increases the production of TSH, and TSH increase the production of when TSH goes to thyroid gland, it increases the production of T3 and T4 and calcitonin and bring them in the blood. The next hormone is adrenocorticostimulating hormone. It stimulates the cortex of the adrenal gland and not the medulla. And we know there are three hormones that are produced by the cortex of the adrenal gland. These are mineralocorticoids. Any hormone that is produced by the cortex of the adrenal gland is known as corticosteroid. So it produces glucocorticoid, mineralocorticoids, and gonadocorticoids. Mineralocorticoids, they influence the sodium and potassium level in the body. And glucocorticoid, they regulate the amount of sugar in the blood. And gonadotropin, they gonadocorticosteroid, they regulate the secondary sexual characteristics in the body, male and female both. Then we have FSH. FSH, follicular stimulating hormone. Follicles are present in the ovary and also present in the testicles. In the ovary they have ova, and in the testicles they have sperm. So these FSH, they stimulate the follicles and cause the production of sperm in the male and production of ova in the female. Next hormone is luteinizing hormone, LH. The role of the FSH is to produce sperm and ova, and the role of LH, luteinizing hormone, is to release the sperm from the testis and ova from the ovary. So FSH causes the production, LH causes the release of ova and sperm both in male and female. Next hormone that is produced by the interior lobe of the pituitary gland is LTH, lactotropic hormone. It stimulates the milk gland in the breast and causes the production of the milk. Next is MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. We know melanocytes are cells that produce pigment called melanin in our body, in our skin. So they produce skin color of the skin. You know, white people and brown people and colored people, they all have same number of melanocyte if you take 1 inch square of the skin, but they produce different amounts. In dark colored people, they produce maximum amount of melanocyte. In white people, it produces least amount of melanin, and in the brown, it produces moderate amount of melanin. Melanin is the pigment produced by melanocyte, and that decide what is our color. And how they decide, they have to produce maximum or minimum, that is guided by the genes of the person. And we take our genes from our parents. So that's why our color is according to our parents. Next, very important hormone is growth hormone. Growth hormone metabolizes bones, muscles, proteins, fats, carbohydrates, whatever we eat, that is metabolized by growth hormone. If growth hormone is produced in excessive quantity due to tumor, and if person is not adult yet, still in the growing age, then everything becomes too big, too tall, and there develop a condition known as gigantism. Gigantism. Everything become very big, very tall due to growth hormone, excessive production of growth hormone. And if it develops after the puberty, when the growth is finished, then already the growth is finished. Person can just increase the length of the hand, feet, and face, only the extremities. So that person will have long face, broad forehead, long hands, and long feet. This is known as acromegaly. Acromegaly. So that was growth hormone. Another thing I want to tell you about thyroid. No, now we come to thyroid gland, okay, in the neck. Thyroid gland is a butterfly-shaped gland that is present just below the larynx, the voice box. It is a butterfly-shaped gland which has two wings joined with a small structure known as isthmus. It produces three hormones, T3 and T4. T3 is also known as thyroxine, and another hormone, third one, that is known as calcitonin. T3 and T4, especially thyroxine, controls the metabolism of protein, fats, and carbohydrates, and also the development of the nervous system. That's why in some countries the rule is whenever the baby is born, take the blood sample and calculate the amount of T3 and T4 and T3 and T4. If they are normal, the baby is going to develop normally both physically as well as mentally. If they are subnormal, the baby will not be normal mentally and physically. We should not forget that the nervous system develops in the body in first 18 months of the life. If this condition is diagnosed after the 18 months, the nervous system is already developed. Whatever has to happen, that has happened. Now we start T3 and T4 giving from outside. It will grow the child physically normal, but mentally, psychologically, that child will never be normal. So that's why in some countries, blood sample is taken at the time of birth and T3 and T4 is calculated. The role of the calcitonin is to regulate the calcium level in the body. Whenever calcium is less in the body, whenever calcium is excess in the body, this is reduced. Calcitonin is produced, and this brings back the calcium from the blood and deposits them on the bones. Next is parathyroid gland. Parathyroid gland, they are small glands, very small glands, present on the back side of the thyroid on the all four corners. They are four in number. These blue dots which I have shown you in this picture, red is the thyroid gland and blue is the four dots. They are four parathyroid glands. They are so tiny that during the surgery on thyroid gland, they are sometimes damaged. So surgeon has to be very careful. The role of the parathyroid gland is whenever there is less calcium in the body, hypocalcemia, less calcium in the blood, hypocalcemia, the parathyroid gland is produced, which is known as parathormone. That hormone is produced and that goes to the bone and scrap the calcium from the bones and bring it to the blood and increase the level of the calcium in the body. So it increases when calcium is less, parathyroid hormone is produced that bring calcium from the bone and increase the level up to normal. If it is less, if calcium is less in the blood, then calcitonin is produced. If calcium is excess in the blood, then calcitonin is produced and it takes this excess calcium back to the bones. Next comes the thymus gland. Thymus gland is present in the chest, above and in front of the heart. This is quite big when child is born. If you take an X-ray, maybe at that time it is as big as the heart of the child. Its job is to develop lymphocyte in the body to develop the immunity of the baby. So when lymphocytes are produced in the bone marrow, they are brought to thymus gland, and there is a protein produced by thymus gland. The name of the protein is thymosin. So when lymphocytes are exposed to thymosin, they become mature. Now they are part of the immunity. So once the baby has produced all the required lymphocytes and the person is adult now, this starts shrinking. Throughout the life, it starts shrinking, and at one stage, it remains just like one streak, or maybe it is invisible. So that was thymus gland. Now we go in the abdomen. We have pancreas. Pancreas, it is present below and a little bit below and little bit behind the stomach. It is both endocrine and exocrine gland. There are groups of cell in the there are group of cell in the pancreas. These one, they are known as islets, and there are two type of islets. One is alpha, alpha, and one is beta. One is alpha, and one is beta. Beta islets, they produce insulin, and alpha islets, they produce glucagon. So when we eat food or anything else, the glucose level in our body is increased. Then insulin is produced by the beta islets. Insulin come in the blood and causes the glucose to enter in the cell of the muscles, and that is used by the body as a source of energy. So in this way, the glucose level, when enter in the millions of the cell, it become less in the blood. The other role of the insulin is, if still there is high sugar in the blood, it takes them to liver, and liver convert this glucose into glycogen. Glycogen is a state of storage form in the liver. So whenever needed, whenever there is less there is less sugar in the blood, this glycogen is converted to glucose and brought into the blood. So this is the role of insulin and glucagon. Then we go to adrenal gland. Adrenal gland, they are present on the superior part of the kidney. Each kidney has one adrenal gland. It is triangular in shape, and it is divided into two parts. The central part is known as medulla, and the outer part is known as cortex. The central part is known as medulla, and the outer part is known as cortex. The cortex, that produced three glands, three type of hormones: mineralocorticoids, which regulate sodium and potassium in the body. It produces glucocorticoid. Most important is the cortisol. It regulates the amount of glucose in the blood, and it also produces gonadocorticoids, that is responsible for the development of secondary sexual characteristics, both in male and female. In the medulla, the central part of the adrenal gland, it produces two hormones: epinephrine, which is also known as adrenaline, and norepinephrine. Epinephrine is produced in high quantity, and it has a major role. It increases blood flow, it increases the blood pressure, It increases the blood supply to the extremities especially. So it makes ready the body for flight or fight situation. Then we have ovaries. Ovaries are present in the female. They produce an egg, which happen under the influence of these two hormones. FSH cause the production of ovary, and LH cause the release of ovary. Then come in the last, there are two more glands. They are testes. They produce sperm. Like ova, the sperms are also produced under the effect of FSH, follicular stimulating hormone. It causes the production of sperm, and LH, luteinizing hormone. It causes the release of the sperm. So this is all about the anatomy and physiology of the endocrine system. We will continue with some other topic. Thank you.